What's up, FlickPop fam? We're kicking things off with a deep dive into Hawaii's approach to homelessness and how it's drawing parallels to some famously tough policies. Columnist Beth Fukumoto is sounding the alarm, questioning whether the state's strategies, like sweeps and bans, truly align with its stated values, especially when compared to the hardline tactics previously championed by the Trump administration. It's a critical look at policy, human rights, and whether Hawaii is walking the walk when it comes to dignity for all its residents. Next, we're heading up to Maine, where the world of scientific research is undergoing a dramatic transformation. Following new federal guidelines, research groups like the Bigelow Laboratory for Ocean Sciences and Maine Health Institute for Research are being forced to rewrite grant proposals and completely shift their priorities. We'll explore how organizations are navigating the pressure to align their work with administration directives, the impact on crucial research, and the ripple effects this has on scientific innovation and the quest for funding. Then, we're diving into the high-stakes world of politics and power with a look at redistricting, a race that was significantly amplified by former President Trump. We'll break down the situation in Missouri, where a new map is set to reshape congressional representation, and explore how this trend is spreading across the nation. We're talking about how these redrawn lines could impact the balance of power and the ongoing legal and political battles that are emerging from these strategic map-making efforts. And finally, we're bringing you a story with major legal and academic implications, a look at Trump's controversial actions against Harvard University. We'll examine the lawsuit and the court's findings that his administration used antisemitism as a pretext for an ideologically motivated assault on the institution, drawing eerie parallels to past political maneuvers. Was this a case of presidential overreach or something more sinister? You need to know about this. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to FlickPop, and hit that notification bell for all the latest updates. Hawaii's homelessness policies, a mirror to Trump's hard line. This isn't just about policy, it's about values. Columnist Beth Fukumoto is raising urgent questions about Hawaii's approach to homelessness, suggesting that the state's own tactics, including sweeps, bans, and involuntary treatment, bear a striking resemblance to the controversial, hardline policies championed by the Trump administration. Fukumoto argues that while the goal of safer streets is shared, the methods employed by Hawaii, such as sit-lie bans and ordinance enforcement, often result in displacement, trauma, and the loss of belongings for those experiencing homelessness, without offering viable solutions. She highlights the stark contrast between these coercive measures and the proven effectiveness of the Housing First model, which prioritizes providing stable housing and then building support services around individuals. Despite data showing significant success rates for Housing First in Hawaii, the state faces a critical shortage of shelter beds and housing supply, disproportionately affecting Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander populations. Fukumoto points to international experts and UN guidance that advocate for rights-based approaches over criminalization and compulsory treatment, urging Hawaii to align its policies with its claimed commitment to human dignity and rights by investing in housing and voluntary care. Public reaction has been mixed, with some advocating for stricter enforcement and others emphasizing the need for compassionate, housing-centered solutions. Analysts note that while Hawaii has a history of these enforcement-heavy policies, the current debate is intensified by the national conversation surrounding homelessness and the Trump administration's directives. The core issue remains: does Hawaii's approach truly reflect its values, or is it merely a different shade of a policy that fails to address the root causes? Stay with us, because the fight for dignity and effective solutions is far from over. Next, we're heading to Maine to uncover how federal policy shifts are forcing groundbreaking research into an ideological corner. Maine researchers rewrite grants to align with federal guidelines. The landscape of scientific research in Maine is undergoing a seismic shift, as organizations like the Bigelow Laboratory for Ocean Sciences and Maine Health Institute for Research are compelled to rewrite grant proposals and reevaluate their research priorities. Following a directive that reverses years of emphasis on diversity, equity, and inclusion, researchers are finding themselves in a precarious position, needing to navigate new federal guidelines that view such considerations as a disqualifier. Scientists report actively removing language around supporting underrepresented individuals and broader impact considerations from their proposals, a stark contrast to previous requirements. Deborah Bronk, CEO of Bigelow Laboratory, notes a strategic pivot, stating, "We are not talking about climate change a lot these days with most audiences because that's verboten right now." Similarly, Jessica Chertow of Maine Health Institute for Research explains the delicate balance of adhering to new rules while maintaining core values, especially after a crucial NIH grant was mistakenly terminated. Herman Haller of MDI Biological Laboratory confirms the need to align proposals with the administration's current goals, acknowledging the ideological nature of these shifts. This redirection is leading many institutions to pivot towards more applied, commercially relevant research and diversify funding sources beyond federal grants. The uncertainty surrounding federal funding, which forms a significant portion of their budgets, has spurred initiatives like emergency fundraising campaigns and increased reliance on philanthropic contributions and industry partnerships. Sen Susan Collins has voiced concerns about proposed budget cuts and the risk of falling behind other nations in research investment, highlighting the limited ability of even senior senators to buffer against these federal whiplash effects. But the impact of shifting federal priorities doesn't stop at the lab doors. Up next, we're tracking the political fallout as redistricting battles, reignited by Trump, reshape the map of power. Missouri redistricting race, Trump's influence continues. The political battleground is heating up as Missouri becomes the latest state to redraw its congressional map, a move heavily influenced by former President Trump's push to consolidate Republican power. A redistricting plan, requested by Trump and now awaiting the governor's signature, aims to solidify the Republican majority in the U.S. House by potentially securing a seat currently held by a Democrat. This strategic redrawing of district lines, often referred to as gerrymandering, is drawing sharp criticism from Democrats who argue it dilutes the voting power of minority communities, particularly in the Kansas City area, sparking legal challenges and voter petition drives. This isn't an isolated incident. Trump has actively encouraged other Republican-led states, including Texas, Indiana, and Florida, to redraw their maps, seeking to gain an advantage in multiple congressional seats. This surge in partisan redistricting, occurring outside the typical decennial census cycle, is seen as a calculated effort to counteract historical midterm losses for the party holding the White House and to shield the administration from potential investigations. While California's Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom has countered with his own map, the trend of states using redistricting for political gain is rippling across the country, impacting states like Illinois, Maryland, New York, Ohio, and Utah, with varying degrees of partisan success and legal contention. The core of the issue lies in how electoral districts are drawn. Gerrymandering, the practice of manipulating district lines to favor one party, is legal in many states, but can lead to a more polarized Congress and disproportionately tilted representation compared to the overall population's voting preferences. While it's illegal to gerrymander to dilute racial voting power, upcoming Supreme Court cases could further influence how these laws are interpreted and applied, potentially leading to more widespread map redrawing. But the influence of political pressure on institutions goes even deeper, reaching into the hallowed halls of academia. Coming up, we reveal the shocking legal battle between Harvard and the Trump administration, and the echoes of past controversies. Trump's Harvard attack, eerily familiar tactics uncovered. A recent court ruling has cast a spotlight on former President Donald Trump's aggressive actions against Harvard University, drawing striking parallels to tactics employed during the Nixon administration. A U.S. district judge ruled in favor of Harvard, finding that the Trump administration's threat to withhold billions in federal research funds and block foreign students was an attempt to extort the university into ceding control over its academic functions. The court concluded that the administration used the issue of antisemitism as a mere smokescreen for an ideologically motivated assault on the prestigious institution, a claim supported by Trump's own public statements and the administrative record. This legal showdown highlights the contentious intersection of presidential power, academic freedom, and political retribution. The judge's decision, which granted Harvard's summary judgment, pointed to evidence suggesting Trump's actions were driven by personal animosity and a desire to retaliate against the university for exercising its protected rights. The court found a lack of evidence that the administration genuinely investigated antisemitism at Harvard before freezing grants, and noted the government's own ideological disagreements with the university, as documented in its correspondence. This ruling raises profound questions about the use of government authority for political ends and the potential for abuse, especially in light of the Supreme Court's decisions on presidential immunity. The case has ignited a fierce debate about accountability and the limits of executive power. Legal experts and commentators have drawn direct comparisons to the Watergate scandal, noting how similar actions by the Nixon administration were investigated for conspiracy to defraud the government. The central argument is that, while presidential immunity may shield official acts, it shouldn't protect criminal behavior. The ruling has amplified concerns about whether a president can act with impunity, and whether the justice system can effectively hold leaders accountable for using federal machinery for personal or political vendettas. And that brings us to the end of our packed update. Don't go anywhere. Our lightning round recap and full call to action are coming right up. And that's a wrap on today's top stories. We saw Hawaii's homelessness policies drawing comparisons to Trump's hard line, Maine researchers rewriting grants due to federal shifts, the ongoing redistricting race ignited by Trump's influence, and a major legal victory for Harvard against Trump's alleged overreach. Did you find this update informative? Smash that like button. If you want more of this kind of content, hit subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss a beat. Let us know in the comments which story surprised you the most. And for even more FlickPop content, follow us on all our social media channels. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.